Hello, lovers and haters, likers and dislikers. My name is Shannon Gregory. I'm originally from Indiana, which makes me a Hoosier. But now I'm a sinner. I live in Vegas, Sin City. And yes, the story is the same. All I got for living here is this lousy t-shirt. So I want to talk about, with this video installment, about the age-old battle for the soul. For your soul, my soul, everyone's soul. Where does it go once that time comes, which is coming? So one of the things that I hope maybe comes through from what I'm trying to do is the ambiguity in all the messages that we receive. We're bombarded with messages daily with advertising and emails, and there's just so much information that bombards us. It's so confusing, it's overwhelming, especially in today's world where there's just so many avenues for messages to be sent to you. But there's so much ambiguity too, that you can take things so many different ways when you don't even really think about it. You know, it's like there can be double meanings, double entendres, contradictory meanings. So for example, like with me, sinner, I mean it in a fun way. Like I embrace that I'm a sinner. I'm not perfect. To me, being a sinner is fun. It's just part of being human. But some people take it as like, well, you're a bad person. You do bad things and you should be punished severely. A lot of people want that for me. I'm not going to deny that, but whatever. So anyway, so another thing is like, what I'm trying to explain here is like, which God are you worshiping? And do you even really know? Like I've explained in the Bible, which is an irrefutable document, is how it's presented. It's the word of God that you must, that if you want to go to heaven and lead a righteous life, you follow this irrefutable document, and that's going to be your path to get to the heaven, right? But what's missing is the qualifier of what God you're worshiping. As I've explained, it's the God of hate. The Bible that we have, the irrefutable King James version or whatever version you have, it's by the God of hate. So again, you probably, if you had known that, you probably wouldn't be worshiping the God of hate, because it's so clouded in this heavenly package, this righteous package, that even though some things you don't sit well with you, you're like, well, it's open to interpretation, very much like the Constitution of the United States, right? It can be interpreted in different ways, and it is. Lovers, haters see things differently. It's the mastermind of the Satan who wrote the book. So again, God can be contradictory, have double meanings. The God of love, or what we traditionally think, the God we trust, which is printed on money in the United States, it's assumed it's the good God, the God of love. But of course, there's the age-old battle of good versus evil, and so far, evil is winning in the world. That's why God is to the rescue. But anyway, evil is ahead by a large margin. But also, how do you define heaven or hell? Like for me, being a sinner, I always said that when I have a choice, on Judgment Day I stand before God, I'm choosing hell. Because if heavens were all these self-righteous, holier than thou, people who call me heretics and faggot and names are going to be, well, I don't want to be there. I want to be somewhere else, because that sounds like hell to me. So heaven in that context would be my hell, and hell would be my heaven, right? You can see how the contradictions in words and meanings really come to the surface. And it's the brilliance of language, right? It can be such irony and wit and innuendo is so powerful, especially with the artists the music that I listen to, like Blasphemous Rumors. You know, it's a dark song, right? But in the context, when you realize that it's about the God of hate, because the God of love would not push someone to suicide. If you found life in Jesus Christ, you would be hit by a car. You found love. So it's the God of hate punishing that person for being hit by finding Jesus Christ of love. So when that person dies, God's going to be loving. It's going to be the God of hate laughing at you. You can just see, it can be taken, but the way the music is arranged, it's this electronic, it's this harsh, it's a harsh soundtrack. It's a atmospheric sound that can be scary to some people. And it can be widely interpreted, although to me, it's a very spiritual song. It's a very optimistic song, because I understand the meaning behind it. And so it's very hard. The contradictions, the innuendo, the irony and things can cloud and have clouded everyone's since the dawn of time, which is why now you're like, oh my God, we have been fooled the whole time, for a large part. If you go to church and you drink the Kool-Aid and you swallow, and you, that's how you live your life, then yeah, you've wasted your time denying your pleasure of your senses and the pleasures of your body. All the people in the Catholic Church, all the priests, like, what's wrong with you? Really, you don't have sex? I mean, what is wrong with you people? Who created the Vatican? God. Anyway, you can tell that I'm not a fan, right? So anyway, ambiguity in messages is very powerful, double meanings, contradictions, and everything, and double entendres. But also with labels, that leads to labels. Labels are an easy way for us as humans, or for anyone, I guess, non-humans too, to categorize and compartmentalize people so that we can essentially understand who we are. Like, I understand you're a goth. Okay, I know what that means. You're gay. I understand what that means. You're Republican, you're Democrat, you're independent, you're religious, you're not, you're atheist, you're agnostic. All the labels help me understand who I'm speaking with, and you understand me, right? It's an easy way, and it's not anything wrong with that. It's just how we understand each other. But they can also be very, very misleading because people are not so black and white. You know, like, I was agnostic, but I have evolved so that I'm very spiritual, and I'm very much awake, and I'm very much going to the perfect world. I know who God is. I know who my God is, and I've worshipped that God, and I'm on the right path. But so you can't call me religious, although people would say, well, you're religious then. But no, I am not a Christian. I am not religious. I'm spiritual. I am a knower. I'm not a believer. I'm a knower. And I hope you could get to be a knower too. But at least be a believer. But believe in the God of love. You know the God of hate's real. Okay, I've proven that. The world proves that. God of love is the harder one to find. But anyway, so what this comes down to me, it's not so much about the devoutly religious people, the religious right or whatever, or even mildly religious people, the devout who believe the Bible is the Word of God. They've been misled. I'm telling you, you've been misled. If you don't want to believe me, that's fine, but you've been misled. But it's not about religious versus non-religious, or heathens versus the God-like, or the godless and the faithless and the atheists or the agnostics. It's really about the powerful versus the powerless, in my worldview. And we see, from what I see, it's kind of about people who need pity and those who are superior who offer the pity. And that can be Republican, Democrat. It doesn't even matter. I reject any label anymore. I'm just a big old flaw. Okay, that's all I know. I'm a big old flawed, whatever I am, human, non-human. I don't even know at this point. But I'm not. I can't even say what I am anymore. I'm so upside down about this. But labels do help us generalize and identify who your allies are, as well as your adversaries, correct? It's easy to define Democrat versus Republican, and then there's the independent who throw everything off and then sway between. Or you can, the religious right versus the non-religious, or, all the age-old battles between, ethnicities and races and people who are just minorities, So it's just really ugly how labels have created that problem. And I think part of it is from the biblical, the false God Bible. But again, what I want to argue is that all of this is not about religious versus non-religious, God-fearing. I'm a God-fearing. Trust me, you better fear God. Both gods, God of love and God of hate, because they both can be very cruel. The God of hate we know, but the God of love will punish who has been cruel, using the God of hates to validate that cruelty. So that will be punished. So that's why you need to get love in your heart and just do your best that you love even the loveless. You may see them as loveless, but still love them and let God handle the rest, okay? So anyway, to me, it's about lovers versus haters, which is how I always greet you, right? Lovers or haters are But I think that's so harsh. So I also counter that with dislikers and likers, right? Because some people may not love me, or they may not hate me, but they might like me, or they may not hate me, but they may dislike me. And the same for anybody, right? So anyway, what I want to explain also is that organized religion spreads blasphemous rumors. Like I said earlier in another video, that God hates fags, AIDS cures fags. That is blasphemous rumors. That, like I said, God of love, both are gay. So Satan has no problem with gay people. He will do whatever he can to create conflict and harshness for anyone. And it's an easy way to target minorities. That's an easy one. All minorities have been easily targeted because Satan, it's fine. Although Satan will impersonate anyone. Satan will impersonate a drag queen. It has. See, Satan has this, and Jesus have this, they're arch enemies and attracted to each other. And so they are when together, they're in a very menacing battle, okay? Because they love to hate each other. And so it's really ugly, but that's why they're polar opposites, but yet they attract each other. And they're stuck in this endless battle until God finally says we're done. So anyway, organized religion spreads blasphemous rumors about what the true God of love by acting as a spokesperson for the God of love using the false fictional Bible, and that is punishable. Acting as a spokesperson for God is absolutely going to get you condemned, okay? So all the evangelical televangelists out there, saying that AIDS was a sign that God, no. You're acting as a spokesperson for God, and that is going to be condemned, okay? You're going to know, you're going to see that. So don't ever act as a spokesperson for God. You can say what you think God might mean, but don't ever say that this is from God. This is a sign from God or whatnot. You don't know that. So don't dare do that. So what does being saved mean? When I was growing up in churches, it was paramount. Come to the altar at the end of the sermon. Okay, I've berated you. I've told you everything about you is wrong. Everything you do is wrong. You're a sinner, which is why I have embraced that now. I'm such a sinner. I've been told that so many times. I wholeheartedly embrace it. Okay, you're right. I'm a sinner. I accept it. I'm fine with it. So, okay, I got the message. Okay, thank you. We're done, right? So anyway, but at the end of the sermons in churches that I went to, Baptist churches, it was always, you could come to the altar now, confess your sins, pray to God, get saved. But I was always like, okay, well, I did that when I was very young because, I was terrified. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get saved right now because I want to know I'm going to heaven. But life, always throws you curveballs, and you still continue to sin. You make mistakes. You do right, you do wrong. So do I need to get saved again? Do I need to go ask again? So this is a real fallacy of the Bible to me, is that just being saved have an expiration date. Is expired. You have to renew it on a regular basis, like a driver's license, passport. How often do I need to go check in with the church to get my saved status updated? That's a real problem because they're like, once you're saved, you're saved. That's what I was told. Okay, you're saved now. You're good to go. So does that mean I can go murder people now? I can go commit crimes and steal because God saved me, but I can still now be a bad person? Which I do think people do. Well, anyway, I'm not going to go there. So anyway, what does being saved mean? So that's why I'm saying you don't have to be saved. All you have to do is love. Because you're by nature a human, and you're by nature going to sin. You're going to mess up. You're going to do the wrong thing. You're going to make the wrong decision. You're going to go down the wrong road. You're going to hopefully regret it and learn from the mistake and fix it. That's why I said, like David Bowie said, his quote was like, aging is the extraordinary process whereby you become the person you always should have been. That's growing up and learning by trial and error. You're going to mess up. Don't kill yourself. Don't defeat yourself. Learn from it. Get up. When you fall off the bike, get up, scratch your knee heals, learn to ride the bike. It's really that simple, right? So don't beat yourself up by being a sinner. And you don't have to be saved. All you have to do is love to get to the perfect world. But it's not as easy as you might think. You got to get that hate out. But one thing that I've learned from my experiences and my spiritual journey is that being consistent throughout life with a heart full of love, faith, and compassion for others is essential. And that I have done. I'm flawed. I'm not going to deny, but I have been consistent for my life. I have known, like I said, I do Jesus loves in Sunday school, and I has been my mantra that I always try to love, even though I may not like you, and I don't like most people. I'm going to be honest. I really don't like people, so I'm sorry. Um, I don't know that Jesus liked people either. I mean, he was crucified. People didn't like Jesus for a reason. So, but anyway, so being consistent through life is very important. I knew who I was early on. I mean, I evolved, of course, but by the time I was 15, 16, I knew my core values. And they have only been strengthened through my life trajectory and experiences and ups and downs. So I knew who I was at 16, 15, 16, and I have been consistent in it. So that's very important to find out who you are and be consistent with that. But hopefully it's with a heart full of love. You may be going to church and you may not have a choice, and that might feel right, what's right for you. But as long as your heart is full of love, you're not condemned. Just because you go to the Vatican Catholic Church or Mormon, as long as you practice love in your heart and you don't have hate. And a lot of those places teach hate. I mean, I know that the Mormon Church didn't allow African American or black people into the clergy until the 70s. I mean, there's real problems in these organized religions, and they're more a problem than they're worth, because it's not of the God of love. God of love does not endorse any religion, and there will be no religion in the perfect world. There will be spirituality, because there will still be the quest to be, what is the meaning of God? You will still want to know what that is in the perfect world. You will search. You will be spiritually hungry, and you will still want to feed your soul. It's not like it's done. It's not like the search is over. You're going to go to the perfect world, and there's going to be art and music and all the things people love about this world will be there, and you will explore art, science, learn to question what is the greater meaning of everything. Okay, God's real, but what's next in the journey? What's more? And that's going to be still a perennial question. But that's what gives life meaning, right? Like, you want to know something, but there's still more questions. I still have so many more questions. Although I know the big one, I got that one, but now I'm ready for the next level, right? I've got to the next level in the game, right? Which is what you can really see this as, is kind of a game. I'm from the Atari era, from the 80s. I don't know what the cool kids do now, but I know when you get to a certain, you get to level 1, and you go to the next level. Well, I'm got past level 1, now I'm going to level 2, but what is that going to bring me? So you can look forward to that in the perfect world, hopefully that you get to go. You got to work there to get there. So when I talk about ambiguity, in messages, is like, for me, the perfect world could be seen as hell, because all my favorite people, which would be, I think, including me, condemned by organized religion, they would condemn us to hell. We do everything wrong. We're gay. We are blasphemous against the God of hate. Because I'm blasphemous to the God of hate. I'm not telling you to burn your Bible. Okay, that's blasphemy. But it's the wrong God, so I don't freaking care, because I burned that damn Bible. But anyway, so we blaspheme. We drink. We do drugs. I mean, we learn from mistakes, if we don't kill ourselves by accident or whatnot. But we're not perfect. But we embrace that, and we're open to that, because we're flawed, but we want to become a more perfect person. Just like in the United States. It's not a perfect union, right? In the Constitution, it's like to form a more perfect union. When the founders created it, they're like, we know this isn't perfect, but this is a pretty good start. We're going to evolve and try to keep perfecting it. Although it's gone off the rails now, and it's beyond perfection, and it's beyond fixing, and the stop sign is coming. So anyway, you could look at the perfect world as hell if you are a subscriber to that organized religious philosophy. But to me, it's heaven, because it's nirvana, it's utopia. That would be my heaven. But for some people, heaven might be this bland, beige, boring, where there are no gay people, there are no black people, there are no races. If that's your dream, if that's your heaven, well, it's actually hell. So you're upside down. And all the people you would condemn to hell, like the gays and the blacks and the Hispanics and the heathens and the blasphemers, we're going to the perfect world, which is heaven. So it's upside down, right? It's an upside down world. And you don't really realize it. Although I'm trying to hopefully make that clear. I know this is kind of a rambling installment, but I just got so many stuff to talk about from messaging, from what I'm dealing with. But anyway, so I see the perfect world as hell, although I know it's heaven, it's utopia. So it's really, I don't like to use the word heaven and hell, although that's what's accepted. It's utopia in my world, which is a world of desire where you can explore what interests you in art, music, travel, all the things I love, and I think a lot of people love about the world to explore and learn, like read literature. Art will be central. Like currently, art is always cut in schools. Like it's the least important thing, right? Sports are number one. Art, music, we can cut that. It's going to be opposite. There will be sports. There will be, not everyone's going to be the same. There's going to be a very diverse place. You're going to find your community. But everyone's going to love. There's going to be respect everywhere. No one's going to be labeled as a misfit or an outsider. It's just you're different than me, but I'm fine with that. How it should be now, I think. For some people, that's how it is, but it's hard to be that. But anyway, so what was I saying? Let's see where I'm at. So utopia. Let me see. I've lost. Anyway, so utopia will be a dreamland where we can spend our lifetimes to help build even a better utopia. It's going to be the groundwork is laid. We got rid of all the bad. The bad's gone away in the perfect world, but now we get to make it an even more perfect world. All the lovers get to love and see where love takes us, right? Isn't that exciting? I think it's so exciting. But it will be a dreamland where we can spend our lifetimes helping to build. And what we always wanted. And anyway, so I want to make also this clear that atheists are eligible to go to the perfect world. The only people you have to love. So if you love, no matter what you worship, Buddhists, atheists, the only people who will not have any opportunity to enter the perfect world are those who wholeheartedly worshiped the god of hate. Although they may not have realized it, but if you subscribe to a life where you restricted yourself to your joy of your senses and the pleasures of your body, and you encourage other people to do that, or even made them do that, like your children and whatnot, you will not be going to the perfect world. We do not want that thinking in the perfect world. You have to be open to exploration and what you are, and to pursue that interest. And don't prescribe what is wrong for you on other people. That's one thing that really irritates me. You may be uncomfortable with nudity or certain kinds of art, and so you want that condemned for everyone. Well, that's not going to fly, and it's not going to be in the perfect world. It may not be right for you, and that's fine, but don't you tell anyone else that it's wrong for them, all right? That's one thing that I can't stand, is hypocrisy. So don't tell me what is right for me because it's right for you, all right? Don't dare do that to anyone. You're getting me on my pedestal here. It really makes me mad. Really makes me mad. So anyway, atheists, yes, you can go to heaven because you definitely didn't worship the god of hate. You rejected it outright, right? So yeah, like China, they don't believe in God. I think that's by the government. Well, you can thank your government for that one thing, although I know they're authoritarian, but that thing is going to be a feather in your cap because you didn't worship, unless you secretly did, the god of hate. But again, it's just about love. It's about love. However you get to the path of love is all you got to do. But if you did, either intentionally or unintentionally, worship Satan, so Satan worshipers, yeah, you're not going. You're not going. We don't want any of that. Because you actually embraced Satan. So, no. But if you unintentionally supported and worship Satan, then no. Like I said, if you are the one who condemns Madonna, calls her a blasphemer and that she's, no, we don't have a place for that. If you call Sinead O'Connor, when she tore up the picture of the Pope, calling him the enemy, She's on the right. She's on the right page. Okay. She's a minority, but she's on the right. She was right. She was right. I mean, I'm not encourage hatred of any person, but religious right is wrong. All right. It's absolutely wrong. It's full of hate. All they espouse is hate. They espouse they condemn people based on an irrefutable document that is written by the God of hate. And that's not going to pass judgment. It's not going to do it. So that's that word on that. So all Satan worshipers, whether purposeful or accidental, will not be going to the perfect world. Satan worshipers include the religious right. All right. So, like I said in another video, RuPaul, who I do love, because she's a drag queen. I love drag. I love the art of drag, and I think there's a lot of funny people, and I love. It's a really wonderful art form that is really coming to its own thanks to RuPaul. RuPaul really brought it to the world stage, where it was acceptable. It was underground for a long time, but RuPaul really, with the drag race and everything. But again, this is another thing about ambiguity. RuPaul's famous statement about, you're born naked and the rest is drag. Well, okay, I get the irony there, because RuPaul's a drag queen, so the rest is a drag because I'm in drag. But you could also take it as like the rest of life is a drag, meaning the rest of life is a sloth. It's slow. It's hard. It's shitty. Which, okay, maybe that's true, but it doesn't have to be. So RuPaul and anyone who says the rest is drag, it's only drag if you want it to be. All right? It's only a drag if you let it. So if you don't want it to be a drag, then stop it and don't let it be a drag. All right? So I'm going to get off my pedestal because I'm getting all preachy. I don't want to be preachy, but I have to be a little preachy. I'm trying to save the world. It's a lot of pressure. I mean, I'm getting cold sores even. It's a big old hot mess over here. But anyway, so may God bless you, and I'll see you next time. Toodles.